Hey everyone, it's Julie Hutchison here from Think, Be, Do Leadership, and it's a wonderful Tuesday afternoon. For a minute I thought it was Monday, but we've had the bank holiday. So today I want to share with you the secret to using DISC, behavioural tool, behavioural model, to understand your team, to connect with your team, and ultimately so that your team feel that you understand them, that you are with them and you're for them, and they're going to want to be working with you and for you, in which case you're going to be more productive in your business and you are going to make more money, which is always very nice, I suppose. So one of the biggest parts of my job as a team and leadership professional is that I have to help, for myself, but also to help other people to understand the behavioral styles that people have. Because the funny thing is that quite often we go around understanding ourselves to a degree. We know what we like, we know what we don't like, we know how we like to do things, don't we? And if you're listening to this live, put hashtag live and tell me that that you know how you like to do stuff. Okay, so we know what we're comfortable in, we know the way we work, we know the way we like to communicate. So some of us like to be really chatty, probably like me, and some of us don't feel the need. That's the dog gone for a walk. Don't feel the need to say anything or would prefer things to be quiet. And some people need to give you a lot of detail, and some people don't give you any detail. And so when we know how we work, then it would make sense that we prefer to be around people who are like us, doesn't it? So when you've got a business and your business is growing, quite often what I see is people employing people, bringing people into their business that are like them. Now, that's lovely for friends, and you know that you are comfortable and you've got people around you understand, and then you think these are great people. Now, the problem with that is that actually what you want when you start employing people in your business and when you're growing your business is not a replica of you. It's actually quite often opposite to you, because you want them to do the jobs that you don't want to be doing anymore. So if you need to delegate, you don't want a clone of you to do the same thing. What you want is somebody different from you who appreciates different things and is different in the way they approach things, and therefore have their genius, let's say, so that all the stuff that you hate, and this is the best bit, all the stuff that you hate, you can give away to other people, and all the stuff that you hate, they probably love. Whereas if you employ people in your business that are just like you, then they're going to love the stuff you love and hate the stuff you hate. And the problem with that, if you're listening live, do tell me if you've ever experienced this, is that you then want to do the things that you want to do, but they want to do them too. So nobody wants to do the horrible, what you consider the horrible things. They're not really horrible, but they're not your favorite things, let's say. Things that take your time up that you're not very good at. Things that you aren't going to do very well, and things that really make you just want to put your head on your desk and scream. Any of those on a Tuesday afternoon? So when you're in your business, you need people who are not necessarily like you. Some may well be, but not everybody like you. And therefore, what we need to know is, how do I know that? Because you can't just look at somebody sometimes and say, yep, they're like me or they're not like me. And one of the most fabulous tools that we have in our armor, especially at Think Be Do, we use this all the time with all of our clients, because it's like some kind of epiphany moment where we're like, oh, that's why I don't like Bob, or oh, that's why I feel more comfortable with Bob, or whatever the thing is. It's like a revelation. And so we use a tool called DISC, and that is to understand the behavioral style and the communication style of the people in your team. And when you understand this means that you can then connect with people, and it means that you can delegate the right things to those people so they feel like they've got a job they love, or they're doing the things that you don't like but they love, and therefore they are going to be more productive, you are going to be more productive, and therefore everybody's going to be more happy because they're doing the stuff that they want to do. And if you're really good at this, you learn to communicate to those different types of people in different ways, which means that your communication is even better than it is already. Now, if it's great already, feel free to tell me it's wonderful. But if it's not so good, or you don't always feel confident, or you don't know how to deal with certain things, then this will also help you to understand, how do I need to approach Bob, or as we normally say, Felicity, how do I approach different kinds of people? And when we teach this in our Leaders Launchpad and in our Confident Champions program, then it's always, one, it's ever so much fun. And two, it's like a revelation because we start to understand how we can adjust ourselves to get better results, how we can just write that email a little bit differently, or how we can talk to Bob in a different way that's going to get a better response. Now, wouldn't it be good if you're listening here, if you're listening on replay, then by all means, push hashtag replay and I'll reply to you. But if you're listening live, let me know now. Wouldn't it be better if you had a better response to the communication that you had, and you had a better response to delegating things, and you actually were delegating things that were really appropriate for that person? That would be wonderful, not just based on their physical skill, but actually their behavioral style. So what is it I'm talking about? Well, I'm talking about DISC, as I said, and DISC is a tool that you can spend 5 minutes on, or you can spend 5 days on, and you can learn as much or as little as you want to. But what I want to talk to you about is just the basic top level of what it means to you and how you can just look at it very quickly and start to look at different people around you and think, aha, I can see something that is relevant, and I can adjust and I can get better results within 5 minutes. So if you're listening, please let me know. Would it be good if you get better results with your team within 5 minutes? Or even 2 if I speak quickly, which I normally do. So let me share a little screen. Now, obviously, 5 minutes is good, but if you actually spend some time on this with your team, then you'll get even better results. So we do half day and full day sessions on this, and we implement this across all of our leaders programs, because the more you look at this and the more you start to really understand your team, the better. So yes, you're going to get 5 minutes of absolute delight, but if you start to then implement it with us, then you're going to be even better off. So let me just quickly share my screen if I can. Here we go. I've got a lovely little diagram for you coming up now. Okay, it's blank at the minute, don't worry. Let's just get where we need to get. Okay, so the DISC behavioral model, imagine there's 2 crosshairs like this, yeah? And on the first one, the top of that first arrow, the vertical arrow, is like 100%, 10 out of 10, an extrovert kind of person. But on the bottom of that, there's 10 out of 10, 100% introvert type of person. Okay, now imagine that we then start looking at this horizontal axis and said, well, okay, if we were measuring ourselves against this extrovert introvert, and then we measured ourselves whether or not we're more of a people person, or on the other end of the scale, more of a task focused person. And what that means is that it splits us into 4 groups. Now, for those of you who don't like to be put in a box, don't jump in the box. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. Don't jump in the box, because you don't need to. But what this is going to do is give us a language and a start. Now, we can be in more than one box, and we can be in different boxes at any time should we choose. However, the more conscious we are of this, the less we need to be in a box. The people that find themselves in a box are the ones that are slightly unconscious of it and tend to sit in one box. So don't worry, you don't have to be in a box, but this is just going to help us explain it. Okay, so so if we are, as I said, 10 out of 10 extrovert and 10 out of 10 task focused, so we're a task focused extrovert, we would sit in this what we call D star, which is like a more dominant type of leader, somebody who isn't afraid to say what they think, somebody who will tell everybody what to do because they're task focused. We need to get it done, and I'm going to tell you all about it. Now, this person is great for making decisions. They're a great doer, but they don't always bring people with them because they're not focusing on the people, they're focusing on the task. So if you've got, or you are, this in this quadrant more often than not, say, or this is your preference and your behavioral style, not necessarily your personality, but this is your style, then you will find that you're brilliant at getting tasks done. You're brilliant at just moving forwards on it, and really creating energy and going for it. But what you might do is leave a few people behind. So when you've got somebody like this in your team, they are going to want short, sharp emails. They're going to want short, sharp instructions. They're going to want to get on with it. They don't want to analyze things to the nth degree. So bear that in mind. Hang on a second. We'll do the rest and then we'll look at them. Then we've got this one, the I, which is still an extrovert. So they're doing things in an extrovert way, but they're doing things instead of through tasks, they're doing things through people. And that means they want to bring people with them. Okay, so which sounds amazing, doesn't it? It does to me because I'm a people person, however. So they're really, really very good at inspiring people, very good at enthusing people, and very good at getting people to agree with them because they're very naturally influential. and more extrovert. So they're going to say what they feel, probably a bit more feely. They're going to say what they feel, they're going to say what they think, and they're going to bring you in there. You're going to be like, oh, this is amazing. It sounds great. I want to follow this person. Now, the good thing about that is that you want to be there with them because they're really exciting and really interesting, and they're great. Quite shiny though, because the problem with this is they're not task focused. And if you're not task focused, what you tend to do is say yes to an awful lot of stuff, but you don't always get stuff finished. And that's a problem, because you have got somebody who likes newness and likes intrigue and likes new stuff and the shiny. And imagine if that person is on your team, and if they're in your team now, they're probably thinking, I'm bored already. What else can I do? So they open all the boxes. They open this, they fly all the airplanes, but they don't land the planes, and they don't spin, well, they spin a lot of planes, but they don't always like bring them down nice and carefully. So you've got somebody who is very inspirational, great to follow, but may need some support from other people in the team to actually get things finished. Okay, great starter. So then we go on to the bottom half of this. And what we have here is what I call S, steady, sociable and steady, and a very nice people generally in here, because they're people focused, but they're not so extrovert, a bit more introvert, a bit less ego driven. And therefore, the people who sit in this behavioral preference are often more administrative and more, they finish the product, but they're people focused. They care about people. They want things to be right, and they're much less open to change. They want things to be nice and stable and steady and status quo. Now, that sounds lovely if you have a nice team of people that need to get on with things and you just are doing the do. But imagine trying to change something when you've got somebody in this type of group, because this person doesn't necessarily want to change for what they might describe as change's sake, whereas your D's and your I's will probably be thinking, hurrah, let's all change. Do you agree? Are you seeing yourself? I know there's a couple of you listening live, so if you're listening live, if you're seeing yourself already, let me know. And if you're listening on replay, let me know too. But you may not have found yourself yet, because there's another one, and he can be a blend, as I said, and you don't have to sit in the box. So your steady, stable person is like the glue in the team, because they are there for people. They are not there for themselves, and they want to help, and they want to make sure everybody's okay. So they can overgive. So you might find that these people will be really concerned about everybody else, to the point, like my mum, who will allow her dinner to get cold and then worry about everybody else's dinner is cold, because she's more interested in other people than herself. I love my mum. So say yay if you love your mum, by the way, if you're listening live. So this person, fantastic glue in the team, but not so great if you want to drive change. Excuse me. So then what do we have left? Well, we have got the last one here, which is on the other side of the scale, which is more of a task-focused person, but falling in more of the introvert. And what that means is that this person is focusing on that task, but doesn't do it for ego, doesn't do it because they want to be shouting out there. They may not even tell you. They may be very quiet about it because they're a bit more introvert, but what they like is compliance and correctness. They like it to be right, and they want to check it, and they are not there to make changes. They are risk averse. So these people are amazing at making sure you got it right. If you're a D or an I, you need this person, because they are going to make sure that whatever your big idea was, your D's and your I's, you actually do get it checked over before you do something that you would regret. So these people are brilliant for checking and compliance and making sure that you have not made a mistake. Now, they are not so good at change because they spend their time checking, and they need more reassurance because they don't like that change. They don't think you should change it. They want to make sure that it's just there for being right and being correct. So what does that mean? Well, if you look at this, then what you've got is a series of 4 people. Now, there are more blends. Imagine that you could be a bit of each one of these, yeah? But if you have people that are predominantly one of these, then you will find that unless you have worked with these people and understand them, unless you know where they're coming from and the way they would want to communicate with you, or the way they want to write an email, or the way they want to read some information, then you'll find you're tripping over yourself because you're not actually going to give it to them in the way they need it so that they feel comfortable. And this is the skill. When they feel comfortable, they're going to feel like you understand them, you're going to connect with them, and then they're going to be much more interested in hearing what you've got to say. So if you're the boss, you need to understand your team. And this is why we spend like half a day or a day working with teams to understand each other, so that you think, oh God, that's why that really got on my nerves when you did that, Mr. D, whatever your name is, Bob. Yeah, because I was an S and you didn't even say good morning to me because you were focused on your task. Or we have to give them names now. Mr. D is fed up with C and S because they're like taking so long because they're caring over everybody and checking it all twice. And I's already gone off down the pub with his mates. And so what you've got here is a way of understanding what's going to motivate that person. So for each of your team, I want you to think about, where do they sit? What's their preference? Because it's not just about communication verbally. It's about, right, if I'm going to write an email and I want my D to read it and do something with it, and I'm going to send that to somebody and my other boss is a C, then one of them is going to need a whole load of detail, a whole load of compliance stuff, a whole lot of making sure that everything's ticked and checked, and the other one just wants to get on with it. So how do I change the way I write my email? How do I change the way I do a presentation? How do I change the way I go and speak to these people, and where would I do that? And that's the stuff that we help people with, is advising you how to understand, well, I need to deal with Bob differently to I need to deal with Felicity. I need to deal with, oh God, I'm going to have to think of a name, Geraldine, differently and take a little bit more care. So the blend of where you sit and your other team members sit is massively important. Now, very early on in my disc career, let's say, I worked with a lovely company who were around 76 people at the time. And they all sat within the C and the S. They were all more introvert. They were all more quieter than the extrovert side of things. So the whole company, except for one person who was a D, who wasn't very well liked in the business, let's say. And it wasn't because she wasn't likable. It's just that she was different and they didn't know why she was different. Now, when we did that work with the team and we all sat there and we could just laugh. Well, I laughed first, but then they laughed when they understood that it wasn't because she was horrible. It was because she sees the world differently from them. And then she was frustrated with them and she saw the world differently from them. So once they realized how they saw the world differently, then they could see that this is not personal. This is just a different perspective. And when you have a different perspective, you deal with the world differently. And therefore, the more you understand about this with your team, the more fun it is, because people are like, oh God, the conflict levels go down, the enjoyment goes up, and you have a language with which to describe people or talk to people, and a way in which you can adapt your communication style and your behavioral style so that you get a better result. Who wouldn't want that, is all I can say. I need a sip of tea. Hang on a second. So, where do you think you are? If you're more D, maybe you need to look at, are my team also very task focused like me, or are they more people focused? Do I need to just learn how to be a bit more people focused with them, so they understand that I actually care about them, or at least they feel like I care about them? Or if I'm like really down in this task focused introvert, then do I need to understand how to deal with different types of people? Some more I start with the more out there, shiny people. What is it that I have in my team, and how do I deal with them better so that I get a better result? Does that make sense? This is gold, okay? This is the stuff that we spend time over and we delve into, and we do your profile and we do your whole team's profile, and then we can see why your team fights. I was going to say, I'm going to use that word, but why your team might fight, or maybe they rub up against each other, or maybe they're just full-on blown conflict in there and you're thinking, my God, or maybe you're wondering why they all do the projects differently and they're not doing it how you want them to do. This will give you the answers. This is a brilliant start to really understanding your team. So if you've never done it before, give me a shout. If you want to find out more about how to do this for you and for your team, or should I say, and or for your team, or both, then let me know, because we can talk about that. We can see how it can help you in your business, how it can help you as a leader in the business. And the more you understand about this, the far, far better it is for you as a business owner to move your business forward. And you'll make more money by having more skills that are enabling your team to do the things you want them to do. So if that was useful, let me know. Give me a shout if you would like to find out more on how to actually implement this in your business for better productivity and better profits in your business. I'm going to go now because I've just ranted on for 20 minutes. Because this is probably one of my favorite subjects. So this is Julie from Think, Be, Do Leadership, helping the quiet leader to grow their business, grow their teams, grow themselves. Have a lovely day. And remember, you don't have to sit in the box. You can adapt. But that's one of the things that we will do when we work with you to find out where you sit and where you could sit and how you can adapt. Take care.